Hello everybody, and welcome to today's episode of How Bad Will My Lighting Get Until I Finally Order Some New Lights. For this video, I'm not quite sure what direction I'm going in with it, because I do plan on doing a how to paint customs video and also a how to sculpt on customs video, but that's not what I'm going to do today because I want to save that for an example with some different customs, like from start to finish. And the custom that I'm doing today is pretty special to me. For the longest time, I've been wanting to make my mascot into a custom. I figured if like my main part of being in the LPS community is customs, that it only makes sense for my mascot to be a custom. For the past year, I've been thinking of how I'd want to change my mascot, and over time I decided that I'd like it to look more like a wolf. Currently, this is obviously a collie. I wish I filmed the sculpting process for this, but I'll just show you what I have so far. And here is my work in progress. Before I go into detail as to what I have sculpted so far, I want to say how this base that I'm customizing is special in general. Basically, my sister bought me a fake LPS by accident, but I still loved it so much, but I did end up getting the authentic version. Right after my sister realized it was fake, she was completely fine with me customizing it, but I just didn't have the heart to do that because it was a gift, and even though it was fake, it was still really special to me. When I decided I wanted to make a custom of my mascot, I almost customized this one right here, just by repainting the eyes and stuff. But then I got attached to this one and I didn't want to ruin it. So I decided to make a whole new custom, and I'm using the base that my sister got me. So yes, useless information, but I thought I'd mention it. Anyway, what I've sculpted on this custom so far is this hair in the front, and as you can see, I've cut off its ears and sculpted some new ones. These are my favorite ears I've ever sculpted. I've actually done like 2 batches of sculpting. The first time I did like all the rough details, and then I went in again and did a little bit of sanding and sculpted some more on the back. Yes, also I sculpted this little bit on the tail and the back of the legs. I originally wanted to sculpt some more around the face, but I didn't want to do too much because I like putting clothes on my mascot, especially my signature outfit. This is my signature outfit in case you haven't noticed. I have these glasses that I made out of wire, which do still fit. In case you ever wondered how these stay on, I somehow made them to the perfect size that when you put them on, they literally like snap into place over this little bit of fluff on the cheek. So they're really on there. And then I just have this beaded necklace, which is actually a friendship necklace that I have matching with my friend's mascot. Well, I think some of it is going to be a time lapse of me painting it. Some might be just me saying random bits of information about it as I'm working on it. I don't know, just going to be filming it for fun because I want to. Also, I've had some questions. I did a Q&A on my Instagram story like months ago because I said I wanted to use them in a video, and I never got around to answering them. I don't want to do too much editing on this video, so I probably won't bother putting them on the screen, but I might just ramble and answer some questions as I paint too. So yeah, you'll be able to like watch my whole painting process, but this isn't going to be my tutorial video for painting quite yet, and hopefully this is enjoyable. Not sure how long this video is going to be, but let's get into it. So my desk is very much a mess right now, but I want to show you the light that I use. This is my light. That's my fish. But this is the light I use. I don't know what brand it is. I found it at a tag sale. And even though the lighting is bad for being on camera, it is the best lighting you can get in person for painting. Also, don't mind the clay on my hands, and I'm probably going to get a lot of paint on my hands throughout this video as well, so customizing LPS is messy. Welcome to my desk. This is the angle you guys are going to be at to watch. As you can see, my desk is already very damaged, but I still use paper towels, believe it or not. I'm going to start by mixing the colors I need in this very clean paint palette. So my mascot is like a few shades of gray, but it's kind of like a purpley gray, so I'm going to mix some purples in with it. And while I do this, I guess I will get up some questions. First question is least favorite paint you've used. There was this one time that I was looking at the clearance section of Michael's, and I found this paint that said it was acrylic, but I didn't realize it was like a textured paint, so I went and used it on a custom and wondered why it looked so disgusting when it was meant to be textured. Yeah, that is definitely the worst paint I've ever used. Wow, I mixed that very quickly. But I don't think that really counts. As far as like a paint that I've actually used on a custom that like maybe I used for longer than just that one mistake purchase, I think it's like Craft Smart or something that you can get it at Michael's. It's not terrible, but the few times that I bought it, it just like, it dried really, I don't know, like chalky. Next question is favorite base to paint. As far as all the ones that I've used, I've noticed that short hairs are like the most versatile. You can use them for like anything, but just because they're versatile doesn't mean like they're my favorite. I really like customizing Cocker Spaniels, but they're a little bit harder to use for things. And then I also like Great Danes, but those are also kind of hard to use. They're hard to take pictures of because they're so tall. The couple times I got to customize a King Charles Spaniel. If you don't know what kind that is, I will put a picture on the screen. On my Mascot, there's also the designs on its face that are like actually like a lighter gray, but I always thought they looked kind of tan, so on the custom, I'm going to make them a bit more brown. Next question is, what is your favorite custom that you've made? I think I'd have to say my Shao custom. That custom is probably like, it took the longest that a custom has ever taken me, but like I worked straight on it for like 3 or 4 days, like just the painting, and then the sculpting took me like another 2 days. I really love doing detailed customs like that though, because I don't know, I just like seeing like how detailed I can get. I like the challenge of it. Where is my white paint? My white paint always disappears. Where did it go? I found it. I kind of feel like I'm being interrogated with the camera at this angle. I also am almost out of white paint. Nice. Next question. What was the first LPS you painted? I always consider my first custom to be this little bird. Technically it's not an LPS, it's actually a Bratz pet, but when I painted it I thought it was an LPS. But since that's the first like kind of thing like that I ever painted, I always like considered it to be my first custom. And I didn't show that in my first LPS customs video, but I will hopefully find it for part 2. Actually, no, I don't have that custom anymore. I gave that custom to my mom and then she put it in storage. I am shaking paint, by the way. But yeah, she put it into storage a long time ago and I don't know if I will ever see it again. Next question. How long does it usually take you to make a custom? And I think I've also answered this question before. I'll use this one as an example. The sculpting I did all last night. I'd worked on it maybe 2 hours and then like another half an hour today. I don't know, I've never actually like timed myself, so I'm not quite sure. I wonder if I'll be able to get more white paint out. Yay. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is gonna be the right color, but as I work on, like, as I'm actually painting, every color dries slightly different. I've noticed stuff is moving on its own in the background right now. As acrylic paint dries, sometimes it dries a bit darker than when you first mix the color, so it's perfectly fine if you need to adjust the colors as you're going. But now that I have the colors ready, I'm going to start painting. I always have with me some water, because I always say to mix your paint with water, and you should, because it helps make it nice and smooth. I know most people like mix the water directly in with the paint, but for me, I get the brush wet itself, and then I dip it in the paint, and then I put it on. You'll see my process as I work on it. This isn't my tutorial video, but you can learn just from watching anyway. How did I already get paint all over my fingers? I always love doing the first coat of paint when they're sculpting, because then it's the first time you can see everything like as a cohesive design, and I love the sculpting even more now. I took a quick break for the first coat to dry, and while I did, I asked for some more questions on my story, so hopefully I won't run out now. So I'm going to go in with the darker color for the ears next. For the parts when I get into really detailed areas, I'm probably just gonna stop talking because I'm concentrating so much. But now I'm gonna go back in with the body color and do another coat on there. I have a feeling it's probably gonna need at least 2 more coats. But now we can move on to the next question. How is your paint so smooth? And my answer to that is mix it with water. It takes a lot longer to dry when you mix it with water, but it's worth it. And in another video, I will be able to zoom in more and answer that question even better with examples. I'll even show when you use it with and without water. But yeah, you will be able to see the difference. But water isn't the only thing that helps too. It's also has a lot to do with your brushes. And also in my tutorial video, I will show my brushes up close too, and the brands and everything in case you want to use the exact ones. Next question, favorite cartoons? The Owl House is probably my favorite. I honestly don't watch that many cartoons. Even though I haven't finished watching it, I know the show's literally over now. Another question, do you have a favorite song or music artist? I definitely have a few favorite artists. Well, you know, I'll say my favorite artists and then you can just get the idea. Well, my favorite bands, Motionless in White, Black Veil Brides, Bring Me the Horizon, and then I also really like Billie Eilish, Boy With You, Cave Town. You know what, I'm gonna pull up my Spotify playlist. Fun fact, my main Spotify playlist has over 300 songs on it. Oh, 21 Pilots, how could I forget about that? 21 Pilots has made like multiple of my favorite songs. Harry Styles, My Chemical Romance, of course. Pierce the Veil. You know what? That probably gives you a good enough idea of what kind of music I like. This is the last of my older questions, which is, what is the most frustrating part of customizing? Insert the clip a little while ago of me dropping the custom into the paint. That is one of the most infuriating things ever. There's a lot of little things that I can't think of for some reason right now. Probably when you have to edit the color so many times that like then the custom has so many coats of paint on it that like it's better to just start over because it's so thick. I'm going to go into the white areas next because there's actually a lot of areas on this thing that are white. I hope this video so far is mildly interesting for you because time really goes by fast when you're the one painting, but I'm just rambling while I paint. So yeah, as you can see, white is one of the hardest colors to work with, and so that's why I'm mixing extra water with it. I've also noticed sometimes the first few coats you do of something is when it's more important to add a lot of water. Sometimes as you get like further along with that one color, you can kind of chill out with the water. But I have the original here and I'm just copying their markings. So I got some replies on my Instagram story, so now I have some more questions to answer. First question, tiny details how? Get yourself a good detail brush. I cannot express that enough. And I don't mean like, this could technically be considered a detail brush, but like that is huge compared to my actual detail brush. Almost can't see it. Add this to the list of mildly infuriating things while painting, and that is finding little specks of like dust or like, I don't even know what manages to get mixed into the paint, but sometimes while you're painting you just find little bumps that you have to remove, which is very annoying because then it scratches the paint. I think the white areas only need one more coat probably. It's still slightly wet, but now I'm gonna do the white areas on the face. I also don't know if I fully finished answering the question before of like how to get tiny details, and like I said before, I'll go into detail of that more in my tutorial video, but I have a lot of like random, oddly specific tips I have for doing details that hopefully other people might find useful. But it's all just stuff that I've learned from doing so many customs. That's pretty messy, but it's only the first coat, so it doesn't matter. Another question I just got from my story is, what movie or show character do you see yourself in? That's always been a hard question for me because I have thought of it before, and there's honestly not very many. Genshin Impact isn't a show or a movie, it's a game. But so far, Genshin has the most characters in it that I can say that I see myself in, or at least I have like some similarities with, and I won't go into detail of what. I will just say which characters. Xiao, let's see, Xiao, Rosaria, and maybe Shenhe. And I'd also have to think harder as to like movie and show actual like characters, because I am not thinking about that too much right now because I am preoccupied and I'm bad at answering questions like that spontaneously. I decided that I'm going to do the inside of the ears, like this area, a slightly lighter gray than this, still darker than the base color, but a bit lighter than this. So I'm gonna try to mix that now. I've decided this tan color is a little bit too brown, so I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of gray because my Mascot has a very like cool color palette. This white area is dry enough for another coat, so I'll do that next. I have some more questions. Next question is, what movie or show has your favorite story or writing? The majority of what I watch is anime. Okay, Banana Fish is my #1 favorite anime because of the story writing. I think it's hard for me to find a show that makes me feel a lot of emotions, and in my opinion, shows that accomplish that are the best written. And the person who asked this question is my friend who got me to watch this movie. Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think, is probably one of the best written movies that I've seen. That's both, I think, one of our favorite movies. Another movie that is one I actually just watched recently is A Silent Voice, which is an anime movie. It is very rare that a show makes me cry, and that show got me pretty darn close to crying. Next question is, what is your favorite color palette to use on customs like earth tones, pinks, etc.? You know, when I'm like working on a custom like for myself, meaning like one that isn't a commission, even if it's one I'm selling, but like when I'm coming up with a design on my own, it really depends on my mood. Kind of like my go-to custom is my Decora customs, which everyone seems to really like. So like my Decora ones that are very colorful, like pastel, that's not actually like my favorite necessarily to use, but it's my favorite to look at. I just like seeing a lot of colors in one place and like just throwing everything on there that I can. But then like I also really enjoy neutral color palettes that have like a lot of warm colors, and having it be really cozy. But that's what I tend to do more in like my drawings, or I don't know, it's kind of hard to get that across in a custom. Now that all the paint has dried, this color inside the ears is way too dark and like you can't even see it, so I'm actually gonna try mixing in some of this brown color just to see how it looks. I'm going to start more of the details on the face now, and something that I've been thinking about this whole time is how this middle stripe here and these dots on the original are going to be completely covered by the hair, which makes me a little bit sad. But I think what I'll try to do is just bring this white part down a little bit more, and I'll just show what I can. I know it's not going to be able to show all the way, but I at least want to show the bottom of it. I'll go ahead and ask the next question now, which is, how's life? And honestly, right now it's been pretty boring, but I mean, boring is better than bad, so I don't know, I've been like kind of in limbo with a few like bigger things in my life recently, so kind of just existing for the most part, just keeping up with what I'm usually doing. Next question, what's your favorite anime? Well, as I said before, top favorite has to be Banana Fish. Link Click is one that I've seen that I just finished watching somewhat recently. Link Click is so good. Honestly, I'd put it up there with the other ones that I love because they're really well written. Another one is Buddy Daddies. It has such a nice balance of everything. Like, there's some really sad parts, but then like the majority of it is like, there's a lot of like funny, lighthearted stuff, but it balances it out nicely with like, you know, it still has a very, very good plot. Another one I really liked, it was The Promised Neverland, which is just extremely sad episode after extremely sad episode. It's a very sad anime, but the story, I really enjoy the story. Jujutsu Kaisen, Skate the Infinity. I'm trying to remember the names of a few more. Death Note, of course. Death Note is the first anime that I've ever watched. So the spots that my original Mascot has this like tannish gray color in is kind of like an eyeliner. I've always wanted to change the shape of it, which I'm gonna experiment on here. Hopefully I don't change my mind too much and make it messy, but I'm gonna try changing the shape up a little bit. There's been a small jump in progress here, but honestly, I think for the very last details, I will be doing them in a reel on Instagram, or honestly, I might just not film it at all so I can concentrate on it fully, but I do have a couple little things to do. My table is now way too messy to do a proper outro, so I'm going to do this a little bit quick. I'm just going to show you what I have on the custom so far. So I have all of the base colors complete, all of the markings, and the overall details. I'm going to finish the eyes tomorrow and the rest of the markings. The proper outro of this video will be all of my finished pictures of it. Maybe I'll do another short video. But that's all I have for today.